Looking at the particles, they could use some amplification of intensity. After all, there is a lot of energy being conveyed in a flame. If I use the particle gradient F-curve, I can actually amplify the overall global gradient density at specific points along the particle's life. If I plug the particle gradient curve into the global gradient density input on the particle renderer, I'll access the particle gradient F-curve and begin to manipulate it. So if we do a comparison of a before and after, I'll just do a middle click to store a compare region. I can amplify the intensity by taking the keyframe positions on the gradient curve and raising them. How much I raise them is going to dictate how bright the effect is. So if we double our particle density, we're actually going to be doubling the density not at the beginning of the particle life, but somewhere through the mid-range to end of the particle's life. You'll notice that the density is clamped at 0 at the particle's birth and death. So right away, if I do a compare, we get a much more intense cloud by doubling the intensity. If I quadruple the intensity, we'll do one more compare. So you'll notice that the death color of the particles doesn't change substantially. But once again, as I raise the gradient function curve factor, we start to thicken up the cloud and get much brighter particles. So I'm going to try one last look here. Let me just undo this and zoom out a little bit more. I'm going to amp up the intensity to a factor of 10. Again, we still have our compare region working, so we'll just kind of set this up for a surprise. We'll do a before and an after. So the answer obviously lies somewhere between the two. As I start to increase the density too much, we start to lose a lot of the detail in our cloud. So I think the answer lies somewhere around, say, 40% amplification or 400% amplification. So let's let this move through one more time. And see where we stand. Okay, I think I'm liking what I'm seeing here. It's these long wisps here that are really interesting me, and in animation, those are going to account for a lot of the personality of our flame.